Alrighty, we're gonna start. Thank you so much for joining us. You can mute your phone if you'd like. You don't have to. If you would like to ask a question, you could either type it in the chat spot, or you could just unmute your phone and ask a question at any time. I'm very informal. My name is Nadine Rosenstill. I'm the manager of the Personal Lines Department. I also have Carrie Bush on the line. She's our Personal Umbrella underwriter. So you have both of us for any type of questions that you might have. So, okay. So what we're going to do is today we're going to do the Personal Umbrella Comparative Rater, which we developed for everybody, is that you can go on and rate, put in the same information for 3 different companies. How do you get started with that? So you go to www.tuscano.com. That's our Tuscano webpage. You enter your user ID and password in the upper right-hand corner. If you do not know your user ID and password, you could call me, you could email me. My email address is Nadine, Nadine, @tuscano.com. I'd be happy to share your, send you your password. If you don't have a password, we'll get you hooked up. It's really easy. So once you're logged in, you're going to go to online rating, and we offer all types of online rating, commercial and personal lines. In the personal lines department, for any of our raters, you'd like to scroll down to the bottom. So the first part is all of our commercial lines raters. Again, these are for you to rate in-house anytime. The personal lines raters are towards the bottom. And we have the Personal Umbrella Comparative Rater is on the right-hand side. As you can see, we also have a snowmobile rater. We have home-based business raters. We have motorsports, all different sorts of raters available for you. Today, we're going to talk about the Personal Umbrella Comparative Rater. And I apologize, I did not hit the login button. I am so sorry. 1 minute, let me log in again. So you actually have to hit the login button. Okay. As you can see, it knows if you're not logged in. It's as simple as that to get logged in and back to where you're supposed to be. If you've already used the rater, it would have any type of existing quotes that you can go in and look at. Today, we're going to start new. We try to ask the most, we know your time is valuable. A lot of times you don't have the information. We try to ask the most minimum information possible to get a quote. Of course, the one big thing is the zip code. It's based on your primary address. So we are just going to enter a name. A zip code. Again, it's the primary address. These are the general information questions. We're going to ask you some details on the insured itself, the locations. It's asking for the number. The first thing we ask is the number of residents occupied by the insured. So this is the primary residence. Again, this is where your zip code is based. That's where the rating is going to be. So if the person lives, the primary address is in New York or Ohio, you would enter that zip code. We're going to say just for today for testing, they have 1 owner occupied. Number of units occupied by the insured. This is asking for seasonals. We're going to say that they have a seasonal dwelling. How many 1 to 4 family rental properties are owned by the insured? These are any type of rental dwellings. Anything over 5 dwellings are not eligible, only because normally personal umbrella, personal lines policies are only 1 to 4 family rentals. Personal umbrellas can only cover underlying coverages that are on a personal lines form. So if you have rental dwellings that are on a commercial policy, unfortunately, you cannot add them here. They have to have the underlying form as a personal umbrella. We're going to say that we have 1 rental property. What are the total number of rental units? We're going to say 1. How many residential properties are owned or rented by your member of your household located outside of the US? So they're looking for like Bahamas or Mexico, Europe. We've also had, risks like that. How many motorized vehicles are licensed for road use? We're looking for cars and motorcycles. We are not looking for snowmobiles. That's in the next question. How many recreational vehicles? So that they're asking for ATVs and snowmobiles. They're only on the number of motorized vehicles. They're only looking for licensed road used vehicles. How many antique collector cars? How many personal watercrafts? How many personal watercrafts or jet skis? How many watercrafts other than canoes or personal watercrafts are in your household? You'd enter that here. How many acres of timberland? So any type of acreage, you would enter the number of acreage. And then how many drivers have been licensed to drive in the US less than 1 year? So that's anybody who has a permit. It next asks if they live in their RV full-time. So they're looking for full-time RVs people. And if you'd like to purchase excess uninsured and underinsured. And you just hit next. Here is where you would add your drivers. So any drivers you will need to enter in and their birth date. It's asking for the relationship. What state. It does not run MVRs at this time. We do not run MVRs in the quoting process. MVRs will be ran once the policy is bound. It's asking if you have any at-fault accidents or minor violations or drug and alcohol offenses. You do have to actually add in a number, a 0 if there's none, a 1 or 2, what it may be. It asks if they have any felonies, any physical or mental impairments, and reckless driving. Again, it does not run any type of NBR, so there's nothing to check against. You're going to just hit add driver and hit next. These are the underwriting questions. It's asking you basically eligibility. It's first it's going to ask you if it's a named insured, a trust, limited partnership. We're able to do all of these types of risk. It might not provide you with a quote today. Here it might get submitted to us because sometimes some of our companies do ask for a supplement, but we are able to write any of insureds that are in the name of an estate, a trust, or an LLC. Does the insured or any member of the household have an occupation of a professional athlete, media personality, appointed state official? Again, we are able to do these types of risk. They do have special rates. So what's going to happen is if you hit yes, it's going to be submitted to us for us to ask additional questions to you. Are any locations to be covered of this policy leased by others for hunting, fishing, or sporting recreation? We're going to say no. If you say yes, again, that's going to be submitted to us. We can do it. We just can't do it for a simple quote today. Has insured or any member of the household had any personal liability claims, which payment by the insured, the company exceeds $25,000. So basically, if there's a claim that happened that's over $25,000, it will be submitted to us. We're going to ask you a little bit more detail. Does the insured, any member of the household, or any other person residing in the household have a personal umbrella policy? What we're looking here is if you're looking for an excess umbrella, so we're able actually to do excess over your primary umbrella, or if you're just looking for competitor pricing. That's all that question's really asking for. Any underlying coverages other than auto and farm written on a commercial policy form. Again, the personal umbrella only goes over underlying personal lines form. Is this a farm or ranch with revenues over 5,000 or more than 100 acres? Again, we can do that. It's just that if you have more than 100 acres, we'll have to send you a supplement that the company requires, asking for a little bit more information on how many acres and what exactly the farm duties are. Is there any business exposure other or operations covered by the primary homeowners or CPL? Is there any underlying auto coverage being provided by business or auto policy? Are any locations used as rooming house, student housing, dormitory? Does the applicant or any resident of the applicant's household own any exotic pets? Again, we can do all these. It's just that if you hit no, or yes, sorry, they'll be submitted to us. Any aircraft, any premises vehicles, including motorcycles, watercraft owned, hired, or leased on a regular basis. Any employees, does any primary policy have reduced limits to eliminate coverage? Was any coverage declined previously? Asking for the speed on power boats. Do you have any motor vehicles on all drivers in the household and details on all at-fault accidents? Were any of the additional residence units rented to others built prior to 1980 for New York risk? For 3 of these states, they're asking, were any of the additional residence units rented to others built prior to 1978? Is there a paid crew for the watercraft? Are the minimum underlying limits of automobiles covered completely by business auto? And if you want an additional insured, and then if there's any other information that you might want to tell us. So now it's asking for the underlying limits. This is where you would enter the underlying for the farm owners, the homeowners, asking for the underlying auto. If we had any wreck vehicles, this is where you would enter. It asks if the insured agrees to if you do have any RVs or watercraft, if you're going to maintain those underlying limits. Does the insured agree to maintain all auto limits? We're going to say yes. And if you want, some of our companies offer ID theft, if you would like that for a Hudson. Okay. It's going to take a couple minutes, a couple seconds, I should say. Okay. Okay, and here we go. I apologize. RLI is undergoing some maintenance right now, so it's not able to give us an RLI quote. We can provide that for you though internally, but at this time, it's just that their system's undergoing some maintenance. It's telling us the premiums for, so normally you would get 3 quotes, one from RLI, one from USLI, one from Hudson. It's giving you the prices with all of these limits. The UM options, you will see once I click on the application, the options that you can have for extra UM coverage. So on this particular one, it looks like USLI is the better pricing. All of our companies are, we get that a lot about what company do I pick. All of our companies are coverage-wise are very comparable. The one thing with USLI is they are direct bill the first year, so that's a perk for a lot of people. RLI is a little bit differently. It's agency billed the first year, and then at renewal it goes to direct bill. So in this particular example, we're going to go with the RLI pricing. So you just click on the limit that you want in the pricing. This gives you the quote information, little summary. Here is where it shows you the quote letter. You just click on it. Here is the quote, the first page of the quote. It's saying the over here in the right-hand corner is the billing information. It's always direct billed. It's showing you the premiums for the different limits. Sometimes if a insured sees that they can get double the limit for a little bit more premium, they take that. And then the application is on the next link. It's a pre-filled app. only with the information that we have entered so far. So there is some information that is missing that you'd have to fill in later. And then finally, they offer a flyer. Sometimes insureds don't exactly know what an umbrella does and what it's for, or the company. So this gives a little bit of information. They're an A++ rated company, USLI, which is very important, in our industry today. So this gives a little bit information to you if you'd like to pass on to your insured. You don't have to print it out if you don't want to. So that's the quoting process. It's very easy. It's very quick. If any of the answers come back like a no, or they have multiple accidents, it will get submitted to us, and we will offer a quote or ask additional questions. We'll contact you, and either email or by phone, and ask that additional information. We do have other markets that if it doesn't fit, we have a company by the name of Scottsdale. They're pretty competitive, and they will look at those high risk, such as multiple accidents and DUIs. We very rarely decline risk. Carrie can probably chime in here on when the last time you declined a risk, but we've seen some pretty hairy customers with multiple accidents and violations that she was able to provide a quote. We don't, we know your personal umbrella product is very important to insureds, so we do try to find you coverage on that. So if the insured likes it and they want to bind it, all you would have to do is take that quote letter. If I can go back to that. This letter here, this quote letter, on the right-hand side here, you see please bind effective. We try to do everything by email. We don't like to receive anything at mail by the U.S. Mail, only because it takes so long. Sometimes we've seen some cases that things that are being mailed takes 15 days to be delivered. So we do try to have everything by email. So you can email these documents over to us. You will have to put the effective date, what date you would like bound. If you would like any extra options as far as UM/UIM, the premiums are here for that additional coverage, and any billing plans that you would like to have. And finally, the limits. In the quote, it also tells you, and I apologize, I should have addressed this earlier, it does tell you if any underwriting information is needed. So in this underwriting notes section, so for example, if you have a 16-year-old with an accident, they might want you to increase their liability limits, and that would tell you in this section what they would want to do. And then the application we also need. Again, it's only semi-completed. You'd have to fill out the mailing address, the licenses of the insured, answer the questions, just no questions that weren't completed originally, and have the insured sign it. All of those then can be emailed over to us, and we'll bind it for you. So that's about it. It's a pretty easy process. It helps. We created this for our agents so they can just go in and enter the information one time, not knowing what, a lot of times, because you do know we have a lot of companies. This way you just enter the information in once, and then you get quotes from 3 different carriers. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them. Again, we don't like to turn down a risk. We are, we have coverages for those plain Jane people with, 1 car, 2 family, 2 drivers, or we have markets available for those high risk, multiple operators types of situations. Elderly people, that seems to be a big one for the umbrellas too. So we are able to write all those types of risk. So does anybody have any questions? Okay, that's about it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you get back to your desk and you have a question, I know a lot of times that, I should have thought about that. You can call Carrie or myself, and we'll be happy to answer anything that you have for us. Or if you just get back and you forget how to get in, please give us a call. That's what we're here for, and would help you, walk you through it. So, all right, have a great day, and thank you so much for joining us.